Hi, so this is for U.S. History 3.2.2 quiz. So this is the first quiz in section 3.2. This is about African American protests. Um, in the 1920s, um, of course, this is going off of the last video that we've done. Um, the Black community was trying to get to a place where they were equal with the whites. Um, there were many groups that formed. We have two major groups. One that is started by W.E.D. Du Bois. Just call him your boy, Du Bois, right? He's a pretty cool guy. He first started something that's called the Niagara Movement, which was later turned into the NAACP, which is still around today. National Association for the Advancement of Colored Persons. So it's not just for blacks; it's for minorities. So that's one group, and then the other group was UNIA. So these two groups were the main groups. NAACP was basically they helped with in voting and polling and in the courtroom. UNIA basically they tried to strengthen the black community from within, and there was their leader who is Marcus Garvey. He had this idea that it was a good idea for um, he believed that segregation was good. He wanted blacks and whites to be separate because he didn't believe that they could live by each other. He wanted blacks to have their own separate businesses, and he even said that would be a good idea for blacks to go back to Africa because they, even though all of them that were living had never stepped foot in Africa, but he said we should embrace our African roots and go back there. He actually started a boat line called the Black Star Line that was to take blacks if they wanted to buy a ticket, they could go back to Africa. So that is Marcus Garvey. So he was the guy who started the UNIA. So we have the NAACP, who basically they want to use the country's laws to make things better and more equal for those who are colored or black. And the UNIA basically is just trying to strengthen the community and build itself up, but separate. So this one's inclusion, NAACP is inclusion and equality, NAI is strengthening and seclusion, so being by themselves. The things that people did, black people to increase the black status in America. They used writing and songs. We talked about the Harlem Renaissance, so you guys should remember about that because that was basically what I'm talking about. And just trying to promote, Black pride, Black is beautiful, things like that. Along with the union riots and the kind of struggle between unions and big companies, for industrialists, is one of the unions started out not so great because most of them were African Americans. This is the porters of the railroad. So basically, the railroads that take people a long distance, they hire people called porters who they're in charge of like cleaning the rooms and providing services to people who were riding on the train. Most of the porters are African American. So they joined together and they tried to make their own union. And it took them over a decade for this company, the Pullman train, to even recognize them as a union. So that was something it took a while, but they were able to achieve that. And then just again, I know a unit in the future, a couple units in the future, or sections. We'll talk about the Harlem Renaissance, but basically, if you remember, that's just trying to prove to others. The Harlem Renaissance was the way to prove to others, look what we could do. We are creative, we are awesome, we're amazing, we're artistic, we could do all these things too. We're just kind of proving our worth to you. So that's what that's their method in the Harlem Renaissance. So most of their stuff we already talked about, so that's really kind of the extras for this one. So that's it for 3.2.2.